I decided to take some stuff from the book and then go way, 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 way further. Okay. All right. Let's get into this one. Let's go. So before we get started, for the last 2 weeks, I've hinted numerous times at the impact of tunneling. Tunneling is major, y'all. Tunneling not only takes away our ability to access our brain, but takes away our ability to access the space, the environment, the impact, other people's perception of the moment. We will lose so much data through tunneling. Let's say you're tunneling and, give you an example of somebody tunneling. Let's say somebody is at a party and they're kind of drunk and they're tunneling because of, chemicals and being in the moment. If you were to tell them the next day, you said this really fucked up thing to auntie, they don't register it at that moment the same way because they were tunneling. That person may not even be that kind of person, but with that alcohol in their system, it forced a tunneling for them to do certain things or say some things they could or could not say if they weren't tunneling, right? And so I'm going to get into just real quickly how to reduce tunneling, because I promise you, if you don't understand this tunneling thing, okay, how many of you guys are excellent going to a used car dealership or a car dealership? Which one of you guys say, I'm really good at that? It's very difficult, right? You know why it's very difficult? Because your brain tunnels. When the car dealership, the first tunneling is, I really want that car. You're already done. Their first emotion is out of control. When they put you in that car and let you go on a test drive, you smell that car and you see the features you want in that car, you officially have fell into a tunneling loop, right? Let's say you're in negotiation. Is negotiations easy? Why not? Because when you're negotiating and you want something bad enough, or you want leverage bad enough, your brain goes into tunneling. Is dating easy? That first time, guys, you go to a girl, is that easy? It's not. Why? Because your brain is tunneling. You're going, what if she says no? What if this doesn't work? The fear of failure, right? Anything that causes, let's say somebody comes to your business and there's a chance for your business to grow or take a chance for your business to take a loss. Your brain tunnels. It's a chance for one of your employees to lose some money for you. Your brain tunnels. It's a chance that your employee may embarrass you. Your brain tunnels. It's a chance you may lose status. Your brain tunnels. So your brain is under constant tunneling attacks. And if you don't know that and you think, oh, I'm so brilliant when I'm not tunneling, this must translate to how I show up, it doesn't. It just does not translate to how you show up, because by default, we are all victims of tunneling. You guys get that? Everybody good with that? Okay, cool. All right, Shakeen, let's do it.
Let's roll. How to reduce tunneling. Mm-hmm. Explicitly consider alternatives. As Johnson Laird modeled of reasoning suggests, decision makers often fail to consider a sufficient number of alternatives. You should examine a full range of alternatives using base rates or market-derived guidelines when appropriate to mitigate the influence of the representativeness or availability bias.
Okay, I'm gonna give you an elementary version of this. And the base rates are very important as you become more, as you're working on a business, you wanna be familiar with base rates. But before we even get there, I'm gonna give you a really, really simple consider alternatives. If you feel anything at any moment, always ask yourself, what else could be true or could this be wrong? And I mean, don't say, could this just be, is there another alternative to this? No. Process the alternative. And if you can't think about it, have somebody in your circle can reach out and go, like, hey, what's the other possibility for this to happen? Remember, we are, by default, storytelling animals. The danger when we tunnel is we tell ourselves a story and then we lock in on a story and then we build a group of actions to support this story to the point that we will sink ourselves into that story. We will die. We will even die. Many people have died on bad stories. And so being able to say, how do I know this is 100% true? And what else could this possibly be? If you can't ask those deeper questions in the midst of your, first you must see that you're tunneling. And you'll know, anytime you feel a height of emotions, know that you're tunneling. Just assume you're tunneling. And if you're making a decision in the space of tunneling, if you realize you cannot escape your tunneling, there's two ways you can do it. Go to bed. I know that sounds very funny, but go to sleep. Because you'll wake up tomorrow morning, your brain go, It could be this also. It could be that also. It could be this also, which then allows you to put yourself in a situation where you're asking questions and going through discovery to make the best decision. The other option would be call that lifeline. Hey, Fern, this is what happened to me today. This is what I experienced. This is what I think is happening. Could you see another alternative? Right? As you do these type of things, you'll be surprised. This alone, like one of the benefits of me having Mashama as my business partner, he by default always, he's a king of alternatives if you talk to him. Now, not for himself, because that's how we work as human beings. But if I go to Mashama and say, this is what I saw, this is what my conclusion, and this is what decision we're going to make, he'll say, wait a minute. How do you know you didn't see this? And how do you know it could not possibly be that? And then what it does is it requires me to have more ownership to draw a line between what I saw, what I felt, and what I'm going to do. And quite often, I say 60% of the times, it's a distortion. 60% of the times, even at my stage, right, 60% of the times it's distortion. So since I know how much distortion is that damn high, I can't wait to call people who are not, now the worst people to call are the ones who are just trying to make you feel comfortable. Fern, you know what it is, girl. I know who you are. You know if they said that to you, it must be what they said. I know you know what it is, so fuck that person. That's not the person you want to call, right? You want to call the person who says, I don't know. It could be this. Now, that person doesn't make you feel good because a lot of times you want, in the height of your emotions, you're looking for cheerleaders. Don't call cheerleaders. Call people who will say, let's look at different alternatives. And a lot of these things you can do yourself, but if you cannot, then you want to make sure that you have that lifeline. Next slide. Go ahead.
I just want to add that in the midst of this now, the beautiful alternative of ChatGPT is really
100%.
beautiful.
100%. ChatGPT, that's well said. Matter of fact, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. ChatGPT is also an excellent alternative tool. I don't use ChatGPT as a destination tool most of the time. I use it as an alternative tool most of the time, just to give me different perspectives and different angles on thoughts that I've already developed, as opposed to where I think a lot of people use AI is they use it as a destination tool. I want to finish this paper, help me finish it. Nah. Help me see some different alternatives on the position I'm taking. And that in itself, but so you want to seek out alternatives. So that's well said. Go ahead.
Seek dissent. Much easier said than done. The idea to prove your views wrong. There are a couple of techniques. The first is to ask questions that could elicit answers that might contradict your own views. Then listen carefully to the answers. Do the same when canvassing data. Look for reliable sources that offer conclusions different than yours. This helps avoid a foolish inconsistency.
Okay, so I'm sure the way I've hacked this one, really simple. I live every day to prove myself wrong. I get excited when I find I'm wrong, because when I discover I'm wrong, it's like a chain effect where it changes a lot of other things and I get these benefits, right? I don't walk around defending my views more than I walk around trying to find gaps and holes. So even if I come to you and say, hey, listen, this is what I believe in, I'm really using you like the bat is a sonar. I'm literally just bouncing an idea off of you, so you can say, well, no, and I go, well, why you say that? Because here's the problem with our views. A lot of our views are also shaped by how we grew up and our situations. So our situations may explicitly just be tied to us. It's not tied to the way things work. But a lot of times those things just get mixed up in my brain and it seems like it's all truth. So I live every day to prove I'm wrong. I don't need the status of being right. I need more of the value of feeling like I want to make sure that I can get things done. I like to learn information to use as tools, right? But if I'm using information to prove I'm right, then my tools are I got a whole bunch of old tools that no longer can do the job. So I spend most of my time, you want to seek, as well as I listen to people. For example, I will listen to a group of white conservatives speak who are going to say a couple of things and going to be like, oh boy, that got to me. But go, that's interesting, right? I will listen to people who are I listen to multiple different subjects. There's this thing called I used it earlier, the Hodge, the fox versus the hedgehog. The hedgehog masters one subject. A fox learns multiple subjects. And a lot of times I'm listening to multiple disciplines. I hear contradicting things all the time. And then I like to sit in that space and figure out, is it a contradiction or does it apply here, right? But it's wrong here. Like, what does that mean, right? So spend every day of your life, if a person is participating in building or growing anything, whether you're in leadership or you're an entrepreneur, look for opportunities to be wrong. Don't look for opportunities to be right. Look for opportunities to be wrong.
Could you tunnel, like, could you find yourself, like, trying to figure out the best way to ask this question, like, if you have like a challenge, right, and you get like hyper focused on it and you tunnel in a sense of like you're trying to solve this issue, but like you're doing these things, like you're looking at different perspectives, but couldn't that be a tunnel in a way? Because there's so many, there's so, like, the optionality is like wide and there's so many different options. Like, couldn't you get in a tunneling loop in that space as well?
Yes and no. So yes. But there's also, remember, at some point you have to move. Is it good enough to move forward, right? I think where you can get stuck in a tunnel is, okay, there's a technique of how to work on things. And one of the tricks of the better way that we improve, the way that we improve how we work on things is through teamwork, the groups, right? It's horrible when you're part of a group, but you tunnel, or you become going back to core. When Core talks about heroism, that's a form of tunneling. Right? I'm going to solve this problem. When what's best is for you to work on a solution, but also have people that you can collaborate, engage, or even work with that can help you create more optionality to the process, because there's always be emotional snags for each member of the group that will get to the point where they're tunnel. But what the group does is the group is an excellent tool for helping us not become a victim as a group as to tunnel. Like running a group that can solve problems, it is an art. It's a technique to that. And as a matter of fact, I thought about signing a book that talks about how to develop strong groups. But you can tunnel by yourself. That's why being a hero is dangerous, because when you're a hero, that is pretty much a full act of tunneling. So all of it is a form, like focus could be considered tunneling in a context, but there's a way to focus that doesn't make it what I would call the negative tone of tunneling that we're using right now. And it's by when you focus, how you're able to like step back and reach out and collaborate and realize, for example, going back to photography or video in your world, have you ever spent all night editing and then woke up and saw the work you did 3 or 4 days later? It was like, what the hell is this? And you did it, but you didn't realize how bad it was because your brain was, because it went in tunneling. You really didn't see how bad you were doing, right? But if you had, say you worked on that work right away, and you start showing people who had dissenting views or different alternative views and start sharing it right away, you would have saw the failures in your editing and your work earlier. But if you just do the work and just put it in a file and forget about it, and then you just send it to a client the next morning, and the client goes, I don't like it, and you're like, what do you mean I don't like it? You realize what you know, your standard didn't even show up because your brain went into a tunneling space.
Yeah, I think I've actually implemented a process to like combat that. Like for one, especially if I'm editing at night, like I always have this thing where it's like I gotta sleep and then watch it again with fresh eyes, because if I spend too much time on it, then like there's like a certain bias there. But also showing it to somebody who can like critique it well, who's in the same field, but also someone who isn't. Like especially if I'm doing like a social media piece or something like that, like, and I was like, hey, watch this. If you've seen it scrolling, like, what do you think? You know?
Yes. Yeah. So I purposely go up my way to do the same thing. I don't trust myself like that, and I'm more practice. But because the brain just does what the brain does, right? We're a predictive animal. We're a tunneling animal. These things that we do for survival purposes, then I design systems to avoid me from sabotaging my own systems, my own outcome, my own output. All right, next slide.
When possible, surround yourself with people who have dissenting views. This is emotionally and intellectually very difficult, but is highly effective in exposing alternatives. It also reduces the risk of group thinking.
So go back to defensive culture we taught last week. Most of us don't do this, especially our culture. We just don't do it because once again, we're one generation off of survival was necessary for our survival. So defense was so necessary. Defense culture was necessary for our survival. So now we're the first or second generation who has access to building, and we don't realize a lot of our growth is undermined because what happens is that we can't take dissension in our group. We're looking for, once again, going back to what Court said earlier, we've been through so much shit. We're looking for people to give us emotional support and tell us it's going to be okay and hold our hand, as opposed to people saying, that's trash, start again. That's trash, but it's still holding our hand, but we don't see it as holding hand. We see that as an attack. And then I feel like that's why one of the reasons I hate is when social media, when social justice landed in our culture, it was so defense heavy. It amplified the defensiveness that we were already suffering from to make us even more sensitive. So now we're so damn sensitive, we can't even get through a whole sentence without, or I'm offended. I don't know how you're offended if we're working on building some shit. Go ahead, Josh.
What is the difference between someone having dissent and someone being too sensitive?
No, dissent is saying, well, I don't know if I agree, right? What you're going into a different frequency. Like if you're saying I'm offended, all that, that's a fragility. Like I get rid of fragile people. I just do. Because fragile people will have me having conversations I don't need to have. When I call Court, me and Court couldn't be this close. Me and Mashama, me and Pastor Chris could not be this close if they're fragile. Because then that means I got to sit here and I got to put Band-Aids on you every day, fucking day, to have a conversation with you. I can't do that shit. I mean, we can't move. I'm losing speed. I need to be able to move quickly because my competition is coming. And if I don't move quickly, I'm going to fail. So if you bring fragile people in your circle, they're going to force failure. So in the end, when I see fragile people, I don't even invite them to my circles. Like, no, you can't be in my certain spaces. You can't not have conversations. I will not share certain ideas with you because I don't have time to. Okay, when I was talking about the lady who failed, yes, she's a woman, and yes, I'm a man, and no, I'm not sexist. Like, I don't have time for that shit. Either she had merit or no merit. Either she was good or she wasn't good. I'm not going to sit there and try to like apologize for all those thousands of different things, right? So I don't entertain fragility. It's in the opposite world. Right? It's like maybe in the dog class, they cool with that, but in the wolf class, we've already killed them. Next slide.